If you think stale bread is useless, wait until you see this. Bread and milk, practically nothing else. And I'm going to try to turn this into a restaurant-style dessert. If it doesn't work out, I'll serve it anyway. When I was a kid, I used to dip bread in milk. And for me, that was a real treat. And now, as an adult, I've decided to do it again, but on a much bigger scale. Today, we're gonna see if we can work some magic with this, or make a complete disaster of it. Now you can pause the video and take note of the ingredients. Start by putting half a liter of milk in a saucepan over medium heat. That's about 2.5 cups. This might seem trivial, but it's where people mess up. But think about it. If you make it plain, it's gonna taste plain. To avoid that, we add some flavor to the milk. A stick of cinnamon and the peel of an orange, a tangerine, or a lemon. This is the typical moment where if you get distracted for 10 seconds, you go from chef to firefighter. As soon as you see the first bubbles, take it off the heat. Normally, this would end up in the trash or make for a very sad breakfast. But today, we're gonna give it another use. We take the bread from the day before, or even from several days ago, and we're gonna cut it. First into strips, and then we're going to cut those strips once more so we end up with small cubes, about 1 or 2 centimeters on each side. What we're looking for is to get a moist texture, but at the same time, it should carry its own flavor and the taste of the milk, since it's going to be very soaked. The bread is ready. See how easy it is? You don't need a serrated knife, just a well-sharpened one. It works perfectly with this bread. Along with bread, we'll use other ingredients to give it some body. I add 3 large eggs, size L, and about 100 or 150 grams of sugar, depending on your taste. But make sure to mix the sugar with the eggs first so everything comes together faster later. You can do it in the same glass if you have a fork or a small whisk, and you're not sure how to mix without making a mess. Look, like you're starting a fire. You can make a mixture of egg and sugar. You don't believe me? Look. Look. This way, you create a blender-like effect just by sliding with your palms. Once you have it all mixed, we're going to add it to the milk we infused earlier. The one that had the cinnamon stick and the peel, in my case, tangerine, which gives it a sensational touch. But I'm telling you, orange or lemon also works. Come on, peel. Out. And here, we're going to directly pour the mixture we had in the glass. And of course, we'll have to give it a few stirs. Not to the glass, man. No, to the mixture, because what was in the glass we've already put inside. We give it a few stirs, and when you notice the color and texture are uniform, it means our cream is ready. If you want, you could also add vanilla, but I think today's dessert doesn't need it. Now, what mold are you going to use? I'm using a typical flan mold, so it's going to turn out pretty tall. But you can use a mold that's about 18 or 20 centimeters if you want it shorter. The process is the same. And you can make caramel, with sugar and a little bit of water in a pan, or use store-bought caramel to save time. That depends on your preference. What I do recommend is that you spread it both on the bottom and the sides. Because besides adding flavor and color, it will help us unmold it easily. Alright, now we just have to prepare the cake itself. Put in the cubes, or whatever you want to call the pieces of bread. And let me remind you that you can also use any kind of bread, any type of pastry, anything that absorbs and tastes good. I know it looks like a mess right now, but trust me a little. Now, pour the milk over the bread. And if it's a bit warm, even better, because it'll soak in even more easily. Mistake number 1, not soaking it well. So make sure you get a perfect finish by pressing the bread down a bit with a spoon or a spatula. If If you don't do it this way, it ends up dry and sad. And we don't make sad things. Here, we're here to enjoy ourselves. And now, if you have a lid for your mold, fantastic. If not, just make one with aluminum foil. This reminds me of when I was 12 years old and I tried to make custard, but I ended up with a sweet omelet. As you can see, I have a large pot with boiling water over medium heat, and now I'm lowering it a bit more. I place the flan mold inside so that the water covers about half the height of the mold. I cover it and let it cook over low heat. This is the moment when you start scratching your head and starting to wonder, is it going to turn out well, or did I ruin our afternoon treat? It usually takes between 40 and 50 minutes to be perfect, but I always recommend tasting it. And when you do, remove the water from the lid. We don't want it to fall into our dessert when we remove the lid. It's a silly detail, but sometimes the little details make all the difference. Since it's going to be very hot, I'm going to remove the lid by taking off the side clips with a fork. Using an oven mitt, I take off the lid. That's it. And we'll see how it is. Well, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. But I'm going to check with a toothpick to see if it's perfect. If it comes out clean and perfect, it's ready. In this case, the toothpick is clean. So I put the lid on, and I'm gonna take this out of the water. I could do it by levering with a fork or picking it up directly, but I think it's much more practical to take advantage of the fact that we have a lid. We close it, and voila, out it goes. Once it's lukewarm, you put it on a plate and keep it in the fridge or refrigerator until it's time to enjoy it. I always recommend at least a couple of hours. But, well, if you can leave it overnight, even better, so it sets and the flavor really comes together. And since time flies on the internet, I already have it ready to enjoy. I remove the lid. This already looks great and smells amazing. And now, with a small pointed knife or a straight edge knife, I go around the edge. This is optional. They'll tell you, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Well, I do it to make sure it comes out of the mold without any trouble. Doing a little extra work doesn't cost me anything, just running a knife around. And now I place a plate underneath. This one will do. I flip it over and let's see what we find. Do you think it'll look good? Hey, wait! It doesn't look like bread and milk anymore. Look at that shine and texture. Now, it really looks appetizing. And you know that desserts, when they shine, bring more joy. And if you know the channel, you'll know the phrase I always say. In people and in desserts, what matters is on the inside. That's why we have to cut into it and show it really well. That's where you see the real goodness. For this kind of dessert, which is a bit creamy, remember to wet the knife before cutting. It will slide more easily and everything will stick less. To get a perfect cut. I can't believe it. This is creamy, like flan, but with a story behind it. Do you dare to name this dessert? If they said it was stale bread you were going to throw away, you wouldn't believe it. Here's my question. Would you do it, or does it make you nervous? Tell me the truth. Do you throw away bread, or do you make this?
In the kitchen, the excitement begins. With simple steps, no complications. From a cake to a good biscuit,